Welcome to another edition of Talking Models. Today we're going to take a look at this beautiful kit of Lou Costello and Glenn Strange as Frankenstein. This kit is based on the movie Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein. If you haven't seen it, I'd be shocked. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You'll be in for a treat. It's mixed with comedy and it's mixed with the Universal monsters. What a combination. Check it out. So this kit, as you see here, it comes to you in 4 pieces. You'll get the Frankenstein figure, you get Lou Costello, you get the door that they're standing on, and you also get this archway that you could add to the kit, which you can see would really make it kind of cool. The door just busting down and Frankenstein coming out. I just chose not to add this due to shelf space. I'm sure as a modeler watching this you can relate to that. Eventually, shelf space becomes an issue, doesn't it? So what do as collectors? We just stack up the unbuilt kits. Well, what I like to do is, since my accident, I've just learned that life is short. Build your kits. Enjoy the hobby you do. Because you never know. Life can change in a moment. So with this kit, I decided I wanted to go with I guess a traditional Frankenstein color, which is the green. And with Lou, I tried out some new things, at least for me. And so I'm going to go through a little bit of a process of what I did. For the Frankenstein figure, he was totally base coated in black. And then the fun began, building up the colors. So for his head and hands, I basically enlisted the help of Freak Flex paints. And they have a great color for Frankenstein. And get this, Frankenflesh is the color of it. And it really goes well. I found with the color that where it really goes to its best, it really is at its best, is when it's over a darker base coat. And for me, black was perfect. As you can see, the effect that it gives it's just like a really different kind of flesh look for him, and you just basically start building up your colors. With the Freak Flex, I loaded up my airbrush. Side note, Freak Flex paints are very thick, and as Ken told me years ago, they are designed as a base coat, and they really adhere to the kit, and the paint adheres to that. Basically, it builds up a strong finish for you to build upon, but it also is nice to use on an airbrush. You will have to thin it down though. So I thinned up some Frankenflesh, and the fun began. So I just basically came in and just lightly misted the entire face, his hands, front and back. And then I would come in and I would just get a little closer with the airbrush and really hit the highlights. Cheekbones, forehead, nose, chin, above the lips. On the hands, I would obviously do the fingers, areas of the hand, the palms, the highlights of the palm area. Basically, just like if you look in the mirror, you see the different tones in your face. So with that done, I came in with some pastels, as David Fisher says, the cheap man's airbrush, and I just started working in shadows. I took a black pastel and I worked a hairline along both sides on his forehead, came in on the crevices on his face. Under his eyes, I went heavier because he has them sunken in look to his face, because if you think back to the original movie, the first time we seen Frankenstein, oh my gosh, can you feel the goosebumps? When he turned and the camera zeroed in on him, he had that sunken in look in his cheeks, his eyes were back in the sockets, the area. And I tried to copy that a little bit with this and just went a little bit heavier under the eyebrows. So then I came in around his nose, below his lips, everything in here, his ears, his hands. I began working the different blacks on the knuckles of his fingers, also his nails. Now after that, I came in with some red pastel, purple pastel, and just kind of worked the areas around his scars, and just a tiny bit below his eyes, just over the black pastel. Really good effect. That was by accident. I just tried it. That's the beauty of this hobby. Try it. It's only paint. If you make a mistake, paint over it. Start again. So with that, I came after that back in with Freak Flex Ripper Red, and I just took a real fine brush and just hit the inside of the scars, just so you could have a little bit of a stark difference. Again, then came back in with the pastels, blended it in a little bit. Now, after I did all the blending with the pastels, I then came back in with transparent black, and I mist it over the head and hands, toning it down. Transparent black seems maybe weird to you, but it works. It just kind of ties it together and gives you shadows. I even then loaded up my chrome, my Renegade Chrome from Badger, and I come in real fine and did some other accents with the transparent black. Just refining the line from the hairline to the face, a little bit under his chin, even his lips. That's a really good brush for fine detail work. I know there's many opinions on airbrushes, but I'm a Badger fan. So with that, I just worked that transparent black in the hands, underneath in the folds, and just had some fun with it. And it's a process. You go back and forth until you get it, until it looks right to you. You're the painter, you're the artist, it's how you see it. Don't let others dictate how it should look. Paint it like you want. I've learned that a long time ago. Be who you are. Now for his jacket, basically one of my favorite colors from Freak Flex is the Nair Black, like a dark charcoal. And I come in with the airbrush and basically highlighted all the folds in the jacket, on the back of the jacket, on the inside of the jacket, and want some a little bit heavier on the folds themselves to kind of replicate clothes. If you ever look at a shirt, you see the different colors, and it always seems like the tops of the shirt is a little bit lighter, if you will. That's where the shadows fall. So that's what we have to try to do when we're painting, is replicate shadows, skin tones, and make it look real. Now on the shirt, straight up Nair Black, got that all finished, and then of course then I come in with the transparent black, tone everything down, and I come in and really hit the shadow areas of the shirt folds, the jacket folds, and just build up my shadows. Again, back and forth, back in with the Nair Black, to re-highlight the raised areas, and it got to where I liked it, and that's basically how I did his jacket and shirt. Pants, Frankenstein, to me, they're black, brown. You know, they're dirty pants. A lot of time you want to accent the areas of the knees, the worn look, and a little bit in the thigh area. So I went a little bit heavier in this areas with tie-in brown. And I basically, you hit the raised areas, a little heavier in the knee area, thigh area, to give it that worn look, and just lightly mist the color. And then, of course, I come back in with my transparent black, tone it all down, build up my shadows and all the folds, and then it just gives it just a nice dirty look. You can go back and forth. You may come back in with the original color and just keep re-highlighting. Don't be afraid. If you get too much, tone it back down with the trans black. It just brings it all back down. You can start fresh. The boots basically were a rich brown. I used that and airbrushed over both of his boots. One a little bit heavier in the tops of the shoes and in the front of the shoes to replicate that muddy look, like he's been wandering around out in the woods and through the mud and chasing Lou and Bud around. So that's basically what I've done with the figure. Neck bolts and the hardware that's on his hand, straight up silver, dry brushing that on very lightly and then toning it down with the transparent black. Gives it a nice little look. I've learned that by trial and error and over the years that silver is very tricky. You can dry brush it on, you can paint it straight on. If you paint it straight on, it looks like you painted it straight on. You'll see little brush marks. You may think that they're not there, but on closer inspection you'll say, ooh, what did I do? So build up. Dry brushing is a slow process. You build it up just lightly. You put the brush in, you wipe all the paint off, just lightly go over the color and you'll see the other color pop onto it. Again, if you get too heavy, tone it back down. That's the beauty of that trick. And it's pretty easy to get it used to and master if you just keep dry brush, and it's really easy and a great tool. Now for Lou, everything was base coated for him also in black, except for his head and hands. I decided to keep that, the original gray primer. Now for his jacket, kind of a trial and error on this one. Started out with rich brown, and it was just too reddish, and I just really didn't like what I was seeing, so I toned it down as much as I could with the transparent black. Then I decided to give the tie-in brown a try, and that same stuff I use for Frankenstein's pants, and started just hitting areas of it, a very light misting, just to kind of change the color a little bit, and to me make it look more like material. So I went back and forth with that for a few times, and of course brought out my transparent black, toned everything down, hit all his folds, everything in his jacket, his pants, and then came back in with the original rich brown, just hit lightly the highlight areas. Again, that's where if you have a real fine airbrush, it's perfect for that. That Renegade Chrome is just really an amazing airbrush. I can get right in and real fine detail, and it's all in the finger, isn't it? It's mad how much air pressure you're going to let through. You know, sometimes you ever have that one where you're just in there and everything's working good, and you get right in there and it's, man, is that discouraging. Then you got to start all over again. You just kind of wipe that down, try to bring it back down with whatever tools you use. And it's just like anything else, you know, over time you get more comfortable with it. And I think that's the beauty of this hobby. We're always learning. So once his coat was all done, it was time for his tie and his shirt. For that I had to enlist the help of my Anne Marie, my wife. I don't know why I was struggling with the handkerchief color, the necktie, the shirt. She came down, looked what I had done. Instantly she said I would just go either with a white shirt or you know, just something like a tannish. I chose like an ivory white. Not too bright. Again, just keep it low key. Now on his handkerchief and his tie, I used dark red through an airbrush and sprayed the areas, and went a little heavier on the handkerchief because I wanted that brighter to stand out a little more, like it's something different. You know, handkerchiefs usually stand out when you see them in the suits. And for the tie, I want a little more of a gentle touch with the airbrush. Of course, with the tie, I toned it down a little bit with that transparent black, gave it a nice, soft, natural feel, and just tiny bits of the transparent black on the handkerchief, but I wanted that again to stand out with the brighter red. Now for his hat, I just decided to make it slightly different. I've seen it done different ways, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use rich brown, and I'm just going to spray the entire hat and work that back and forth with the transparent black until I get what I'm thinking it should look like. And that's basically all I did with that. Came in with a tan for around the band around his hat, and again then toned the whole piece down with trans black just to kind of blend it all together. Now his head and his hands were a three-step process with my favorite line of paints there from Reaper, their Master Series. It's 3 flesh tone steps that I use. They have like a suntan flesh, suntan shadow, and a suntan highlights. So back and forth, straight up with a suntan flesh. Came back in with the highlights for his nose, cheeks, top of his hands, his ears. Worked in a little bit of the shadows. Then it was bringing out the cheap man's airbrush. The pastels came out. And used like the, I guess it's like a burnt umber or a burnt sienna pastel. Of course, along the hairline, in the folds of the nose, his chin, and his finger areas, in between the knuckles, and just kind of back and forth with that. Then something I like doing is I usually get a brown pastel and then lightly just kind of go over the whole face with it. Just a light touch with a little bigger wide brush. Just go over and kind of blend it around, blow it off, do it again, blend it around. And to me it gives it a natural look. I don't know if you see it in this, I hope you do. I also have pictures of this on my webpage. You then get just different tones, and that enables you to blend that skin into the hairline a little bit. That's very important, that blending from the hairline to the flesh. Hair, I just came back in with a brown from Delta Cream Coat and just lightly dry brushed that over his hair and built the colors back and forth, washed it down with transparent black, blended it in. And then Lou was always just a jolly guy in all the movies, especially this one, just innocent. Some may say a little, cards short in the deck. But I wanted to give him that look of jolly. So I brought out some red pastels, hit his cheek areas, a little bit below his eyes, and just kind of a little bit different look to him, like he's just a happy, innocent guy about to be taken down by Frankenstein. So with that done, I came in with his eyes. I always like to use neutral gray for the eye color. White's too stark. Bleach bone tan from the Freak Flex line is also a really good color for eyes. Came in with a pupil. With the iris, I decided to go another color favorite of mine, Asphyxia Blue by Freak Flex. Beautiful blue. And for the pupil, this is smaller. On smaller kits, something I've learned a long time ago, invest in a pack of toothpicks. Take the pointy end of the toothpick, dip it in your paint, hold your breath, go in there, touch it. It's a perfect circle every time. It works. So of course I did that with Lou and got that nice blue look along with the red cheeks and the flesh tones, and I really like the results. It really come out nice. The door, you've got many options. Again, over the black base coat, back and forth with rich brown and tie-in brown until I was happy, washing it down with the transparent black, hitting the highlights of the door heavier in some areas so you see a color change. The doorknob and the lock on the door, use some bronze, lightly airbrushed over that to give it a different look. Of course, then pinned it, glued it, and then one of my favorite things to use is Testors Dullcote to seal it. I usually do through 3 coats, depending on the size of the kit. I really like to bring it down and really deaden it. And I'm really happy with Dullcote, been using it for years. Probably will have to try some other things. That seems to be going up in price a lot, but paint's going up, everything's going up. What a hobby we're in, huh? So that is the Frankenstein and Lou kit. Well, that's it today for Model Talk on this beautiful kit. I want to thank you today for stopping in and supporting this channel. Please subscribe, and that way you'll be able to be updated on new video releases as we continue to go through my collection and talk a little bit about the process of painting that I used on these kits to bring them to life. And of course, maybe to see some kits you've never seen before. So once again, thank you for stopping in today at Talking Models with Troy Nayert. And have a great day today, and don't forget, build some kits this week. Thank you, and God bless.